Hi, okay, today I'm going to talk about my interest, which is around well-being and what happens in spaces to produce well-being or not to produce well-being. How can we actually make spaces function to make people well, healthy, happy? So have you ever wandered into a building and looked around you and thought, what goes on here? You see people in the building doing their work, but you wonder, are they happy? Are they functioning well? Are they getting the most out of this environment? And it might be something we actually want to really consider if we're thinking about the design of buildings into the future, and not just buildings, but spaces and the functions that happen within them. What can we do to make our social interactions more productive for well-being? What can we do to make our material environment more helpful for well-being as well? So why is it so interesting to look at well-being within place? Well, if you think about it, well-being and our experiences don't just happen in the abstract. They tend to happen within places. And our relationship with places is very interesting. We have a social connection with spaces. So, for example, here we are today, all interacting with each other in this space, thinking about how we're feeling about each other. We also have a physical dimension around us in spaces. And we also have a kind of mental perception. So we're in a specific type of space, like a workshop. We have a mental perception of what we expect to happen there. We're in a hospital. We have a kind of mental perception. So places have these different dimensions going on within them. And really, when we're thinking about design and well-being, it's useful to think of these three different aspects going on. So one of the areas I'm really interested in looking at is in our contemporary society, policy has a very strong interest in how can we address social inclusion? How can we get well-being for people who are a bit marginalised perhaps or isolated within society? And as you know, I'm sure there are a number of policy initiatives around this. Particularly of interest to myself is the issue of social enterprise. And you might imagine social enterprise as a new kind of space of well-being that government is actually promoting in policy. Social enterprises are organisations that run with business techniques, but they have a social mission. And they are, as I said, used in policy as a kind of tool for tackling social inclusion or promoting social inclusion. And being as how I work in the rural health school and I'm particularly interested in rural areas, I'm interested in the use of social enterprises in promoting rural social inclusion. How do we use these types of spaces to help people who are isolated and marginalised? How do we develop well-being for them? So really, is social enterprise a space of well-being? What do we know about this? Government and policy say it is, but we don't really have that much evidence about it. And within social enterprises, what about different spaces and places within them? How about productive spaces? How about social spaces? What's going on there and how do they fit together? So